Why take the high road
when you could get revenge?
First story, revenge on a neighbor. Oh, we do love our neighbor stories on this channel. So I had this neighbor, let's call her Barbara. Barbara was in her late 40s and was renting a 5-bedroom house across the pathway from my parents' house. She lived with her 20-something son, her son's pregnant girlfriend, and her grandchild. I lived with my parents and 2 siblings and 2 adorable pups. Here's where the story gets interesting. Barbara's house threw a birthday party at 2 p.m. on a Sunday for her grandchild, and around 5 p.m. it was over. Around that time, as it is a small estate, people use the pathway to walk their dogs through the estate. And in the queue, the dogs ran outside and started barking. We thought nothing of it, but Barbara did. The next day around 7 p.m., we got a knock on the door from Barbara. My mom opened the door and was confused as to why Barbara was there. Apparently, she had been up all night because the dogs kept barking. Mind you, there are many dogs around the neighborhood that bark around the same time, so for Barbara to come to our house and threaten my mom that she would call the pound was alarming to us. But Barbara left, and for a week we tried our best to keep the dogs down as we didn't want her to stir anything up further. This is where it gets bad. Barbara started yelling over the fence the minute anything got loud. From us talking and having a good time to the dogs barking, she would yell things like, "Shut your dogs up, would you be effing quiet," etc., etc. The one that got us to start taking action was when Barbara yelled over the fence, "I'm going to come over and those dogs if you don't shut them up." That'll do it for me. A threat to my dog. Oh, you wanna... Here was my mistake though. Barbara had posted about my mom on a mom's Facebook group on how she was so rude and disrespectful when I confronted her at the door. One of my colleagues at the time told me about the post, and I commented defending my mom and what I had heard. Barbara had commented back saying that, "Thank you, OP, now I have your mom's name." And that was the start of Barbara's abuse. She would constantly message me and harass my mom and would be messaging me about the situation. All because of the dogs. Barbara even went as low as to download an app to call our landline from a private number anytime a dog barked in the neighborhood, which would blare at any time of the day, and if we didn't answer, she would call another 4 times until we did, only for the landline to be completely silent from the other end. My parents had had enough, and once they realized what was presented in front of them, they knew what they had to do. First, they found Barbara's landlord and real estate, who they were frequently contacting. They let the real estate know that they've feared for their safety as well as the dogs. They then contacted a lawyer to present a cease and desist to Barbara, who had to have this handled by the police as she slammed the door on my sisters when they tried handing it to her. Then they contacted a lawyer about a restraining order on her as her abuse became unbearable. Barbara did not attend the court hearing, so it was ruled in our favor. The icing on top of the cake? The pregnant girl who lived there just so happened to be a former colleague of mine. So I messaged her out of curiosity, and it turns out Barbara had a floor plan of our house saved. She had all the contact details of both my parents. She did download that app to call us, and she apologized on Barbara's behalf. I was thankful, and I told my parents, which helped their case tremendously. Barbara and the family ended up getting evicted, and the people that moved in after became some of my parents' greatest friends. They were able to live peacefully, and the phone calls stopped after a few months of their eviction. Moral of the story, don't mess with the dogs. It is one thing to mess with us, but you mess with our dogs? Or any pet. Any pet is like family.
That's not no dog. That's family.
You know? My roommates hated my cats and crashed out on me. I sued them. What is it with us and fighting over our animals, you guys? Alrighty. I, female 23, had roommates Fern, female 23, and Eric, male 23. Fern was an ex-coworker and reached out to me. We talked and we were both trying to move out. She and Eric are engaged and had 2 large dogs, one being a puppy. They wanted to rent a house that had a yard but couldn't afford it without a roommate and asked me to become their roommate. I have 2 cats and we all agreed all animals were okay. In October, we all moved into the nice house, 3 bedrooms upstairs and one larger one downstairs with a wall connected to the living room. I had the downstairs bedroom. Fern took 1 bedroom as an office, and then Fern and Eric took 1 bedroom as a bedroom. And then they took the other upstairs bedroom as a getting ready area. I don't know. So they got 3 bedrooms?
Yeah, they're rich.
Okay. One of my cats, Mario, took very well to the change. He was cautious for about a week, but then he did great. Luigi, my other kitty, had a tougher time. He only stayed in my room and rarely came out. The dogs mainly stayed in the living room. Luigi began to come out occasionally after a month, but would run away when approached outside of my bedroom. I bought gates for doorways that allow cats through, so that when needed, we could keep the dogs away from the cats. Essentially, Luigi finally became comfortable in the house and explored upstairs. Fern saw him in her office and lost it. Since the whole upstairs is their space, I offered to buy a gate for the stairs so that the cat won't go upstairs. That seemed fair to me. Well, she said no because she would fall. That honestly made no sense, but okay. You don't have to climb over the gate. You pick up the gate, you turn around, you put it back. So I then offer another solution. They close the doors to the rooms upstairs, that way the cats can't go in and there is no gate. Fern said that is not possible because it gets too cold upstairs. The solution she offered was that my cats only stay in my room and living room, which they didn't love because of the dogs. Before they had been allowed in the kitchen, which is the pathway to the cat tree, which Fern refused to allow in the living room. My cats were trapped while her messy and untrained dogs went everywhere. I told her she was being ridiculous and unreasonable, and I had offered 2 great solutions and would pay for the one that required it. She said those were not solutions, and if I didn't like her rules, then I could get out. That would have been enough for me. I would have been gone. I started tearing up because honestly, she and Eric had been so nice before. I was just shocked that they switched up so quickly. She then said, "What, are you going to cry about it now?" Like, I am losing my housing situation. Yes, I am. Anyway, mid-December is when the argument went down and I took my cats to my parents' house because I didn't know if they were safe there because of Fern's unexpected behavior. I packed all my stuff up and moved into my parents'. Mid-January, we amended the lease to remove me from it. It actually cost $300 to do that, and since they wanted me out, I said that they should pay it. They refused, but I said I would pay the $300 fee if they give me the $700 portion I paid to the security deposit that I would never see again. They agreed to that and said they would pay me on the specific date that I signed off the lease. I don't think they pay you. Those were the only conditions, and all over text messages. Come the day I sign off the lease in January, they text me that I will not be receiving any money from them because I left my room a mess. Okay, that's fine. I took a video and photos of the room the day that I vacated. I had vacuumed and taken out all my stuff. I texted them that I would see them in court, and they laughed and said that there was no way I could afford court and that I would have a 0 case. I proceeded to take them to zero claims court. They avoided certified mail service, which cost $90. I then had to pay $90 for process servers, people that will testify that they served Fern and Eric. Today came the day and I was so nervous, but I felt like I would win. I go to the courtroom early, watched the people before me act all catty, disrespectful to each other, and honestly saw the magistrate react, so I decided I would do my best to remain calm and on the facts when I spoke. Fern and Aaron show up 2 minutes late, and we begin. I share that when I asked if I paid the $300 vacating fee, that they would pay me the $700 they texted me about, and I quote, "Of course, that is your money." I told the magistrate that the lease and my state laws dictate that a landlord has 30 days after a tenant vacates to create an itemized list of damages that I was responsible for. And I had never received any such list, and therefore I caused no damage. I mentioned I had photos of the room as I left it and then have to show Fern and Eric the photos before I show the magistrate. They get their turn. Fern says, "Well, I changed my mind because she left the room in disarray. It smelled like cat urine and had stains all over." She then referenced my photos to the magistrate and said you could see the stains in the photos. The magistrate analyzed the photos and the text confirmations and that I would be paid under those specific conditions. He said in the photos a landlord would not see any damage and the only thing he sees on the carpet is vacuum lines. That was amazing. Towards the end, the magistrate asked if we had anything else to add before he makes a verdict. Fern popped up and mentioned that I had not been kicked out and that I left in December all of a sudden. Weird. The magistrate said I wasn't claiming to be kicked out. I confirmed that was not my claim and reaffirmed my claim and mentioned I left in December because I did not know if my cats would be safe and people who didn't like or want them around, so I just took them to my parents just in case. That did not matter either. Either way, he makes the verdict verdict and states that I have the burden of proof and that they owe me $700 plus the $180 court fees. So I typed this in my notes because I couldn't share it until after the approval period. Good thing I waited because they decided to appeal. Oh my God. Before, we went before a magistrate. This time, we went in front of a judge. Fun facts about their puppy: they did not let it out enough and it would poop inside a lot, and often outside my bedroom door. They didn't like them going out in the bad weather because it made the carpets and the white furniture dirty. Overall, they just didn't seem like the best puppy owners. Once both dogs ran away because they let them off their leash in the front yard. Oh, and luckily they weren't hit because we are near busy roads. But they did go to the greenhouse and roll around in manure. The dog always jumped, which I was fine with, but it was annoying since they lost it over my cat's existing. The other dog was super friendly and generally listened. After the appeal, I showed up and waited and waited. Apparently they canceled the appeal, so I won. Yay! And very surprisingly, they paid me today as well. Bless. All that over some freaking cats and dogs, man. Oh my God. This is why they say sometimes, like, it's a risk to live with friends. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But good news is we are hopping on hydration station. Let me know what's in your cup, but drink some water. Cheers. Not cold enough for my liking, but whatever. Next up, it was so loud. That's what people say about me. I had a pair of Bluetooth headphones that I put through hell. No matter how many times I dropped, smashed, dropped in water, etc., they kept on ticking. The volume and power buttons didn't work, so volume was stuck on the max level, and if they had a charge, they were on. Well, about 6 months ago, those headphones were stolen from my desk one day. It didn't bother me too much because stuff happens. What did bother me though was when I saw this coworker this past Saturday with my busted headphones on. The blue duct tape holding the right side together gave it away. This morning at our department meeting, the thief took her phone too far away from her bag that she had my headphones in. Well, my phone still had them on Bluetooth connection list, and what do you know? They mysteriously connected. I figured I'd let it go, but I wouldn't be typing this if I did, now would I? Somehow the headphones started blasting a weird graphic screaming and slapping sound, and a very vulgar-mouthed female was instructing her partner on how much harder she wanted her hoo-ha busted. Slapping very loud. Must have been a mean game of patty cake or clapping hands at a very fast pace, but it was a plopping sound like their hands were wet or covered with Vaseline. Not sure if I can mention brand names, but the headphones rhymed with Poise Quiet Comfort. Oh, Pose. Yeah, I have a pair of those. I see them over there. No matter what the thief did, they just wouldn't turn off or even go lower. Nothing worked, and that same vulgar mouth lady was trying to get her partner to look in her mouth or something. He must not have been paying attention because she kept yelling at him to look in her mouth or something like that. The thief ended up running out of the meeting in front of our entire department, which was only being held to introduce our new director. You better believe I watched her get far away enough to turn my volume down on my phone. I just wouldn't want something like that to mistakenly be blasted from my pocket. I also made sure to delete them from my Bluetooth list as well. We've been back at our desk since 1, and the thief just hasn't shown up yet. Edit and update. We had another department meeting today from 9 to 10. HR, the new director, and all the supervisors were required to be there in person or online. They reviewed the administrative regulation for personal electronic devices and made it very clear that graphic material of any kind is not allowed while on company time and property. The thief mysteriously called in sick, and everyone is assuming she will call in for the rest of the week. Most likely will have a 5-day suspension or worse. I'm waiting to see if she makes eye contact with me and if or when she does come back. It's unfortunate to say that the thief is that one coworker that everyone has to pull the weight for. So even with a possible suspension pending, that just means we have to do her work until she comes back. What a bold and stupid move though, to steal someone's headphones that you're gonna be in the same room with. That doesn't even make any sense at all. Stupid. The revenge that cost my boss their job. This story is very fresh as it only happened a few days ago. I work at a car wash and I love my job, but it has its downsides. I am the only female employee, and by now I am used to the old men that gawk at me as they clean their car, but what particularly bothers me is hearing how my coworkers talk about female clients, or females in general. They're extremely vulgar and disrespectful. I normally shake it off and remind myself that I can't stop them from acting like dogs, but when it comes to my key holder, I simply can't let it go. For privacy reasons, we will call him Matt. Matt. Matt is 29 years old and has been working for a car wash for 5 years. He has also been demoted from a general manager to key holder. A previous AGM told me that Matt had stalking charges from his ex and was on probation at his old location. My AGM showed me the charges not very long after I had started the job. I was shocked. Matt didn't seem to be like a creep like described, but I still kept that information in my subconscious. As time went by, I watched Matt bother the F out of any pretty female who would come to wash their car.
You.
Even though my coworkers would engage in vulgar conversation as well, none of them were nearly as bad as him, and even they would acknowledge when he became gross. Our general manager, his direct boss, has had several conversations with him telling him to stop pestering female clients, but he persisted and even asked a customer if she would want to have a kid with him.
Oh my god, ew, David!
Our general manager is a pushover when it comes to punishment. He will have discussions, but will refrain from taking any further actions like suspension without pay or a write-up, which is why Matt has been relatively let off the hook for his actions. It makes me so mad. He deserves to be fired for the way he acts towards females. He watches so much porn that he believes every female he interacts with has to have sex with him. This past Thursday, I was helping a customer select their wash. The customer was a young girl, no older than 20. She was pretty, and I already knew who would hunt her down in the parking lot after her car wash. Before I could even finish helping her, our Matt came outside to get a quick word in before the transaction ended. He asked her how her day was and mentioned the weather. Basic conversation, but I knew if I wasn't there, I'm sure he would have said something perverted. I scanned her through and she pulled forward. Matt began to walk towards the parking lot, assuming to assist her in drying her car off. My GM took notice of Matt's plan and told him not to go talk to her, but what did he do anyway? You guessed it! He went and bothered her. My GM went on break and I could overhear Matt bragging to my coworkers about getting the girl's Instagram. He was talking about her body and the disgusting things that he wanted to do with her. I couldn't wait any longer. Time for revenge. Our company really values its good reviews and we check them every hour. Knowing this, I quickly created a fake Gmail account complete with a profile picture and name. I wrote out a nasty review from the girl's perspective, essentially letting out all my anger from previous scenarios. I sent the review to ChatGPT to change the tone, attempting to sound more realistic, and posted it after adding its finishing touches. I watched as my GM pulled out his phone to view the email, alerting him of the 1-star review. He began shaking his head and tossed his hand over his mouth. My GM told me to check the review Matt got, as if I didn't write it, lol. The rest of my coworkers quickly found out about the review and all said the same thing. He had it coming. Matt has been the worst to so many females that the review is 100% believable and no one has or will question it. Since then, Matt has been suspended without pay until further notice. Our district manager practically told me that he was 99.9% fired until the company completed their investigation. I know he will get fired, but I don't feel bad at all. He can end up on the streets for all I care. He is a terrible human with gut-wrenching morals, and I believe he deserves worse than what I could conjure, but this is in karma's hands now. Damn. I reported her for threatening me. She's no longer allowed to work in any public school, but I still feel guilty. We are both teachers. A woman at work has been intimidating me with threats. Long story short, we had a very, very short fling during the holidays. Oh. Risky game. Nothing serious happened and I didn't tell anyone. No reason to. We agreed to end it on good terms and remain cordial. She became extremely paranoid that I told people at work because with the holidays being over, everyone was back to being their grumpy, depressed selves. And let's be real, around Christmas, who isn't happy and joyful? Anyways, she thought their shift in attitude was because I said something to them. She began to gaslight me and manipulate me into making a false admission. This went on for weeks. It got so bad that I ended up having a very scary anxiety attack and was rushed to the hospital while I was at work. She saw what happened and didn't care. My supervisors were very worried and asked me what was going on. As a teacher, my job is to protect the kids as well as teach them. But if I was having mental health issues, I was putting those kids in danger. Because of that, I had a high chance of being put on leave or suspended till I got better, and rightfully so, by my supervisors. They had to do what's best in the interest of the kids. So I told them what happened. I showed them all the documented proof of the threats that she had texted me so that they knew I wasn't lying. The supervisors immediately removed her. She was no longer allowed to come, and they gave a heads up to the principal at the nearby school that she was going to work for to not hire her either. I don't know if she's allowed to work in the district at all, but I know that she's been flagged. The principal at the other school has connections as he's been in the system for many years, so I don't know whether he was the one who made the call to flag her or if both principals contacted the district to inform them about her. As far as I know currently, she's working in a private Jewish school very far away from me. The school had been involved in 2 criminal activities. No job security as opposed to working for the city schools, and the pay is horrendous. She's also been having financial issues where her rent had been raised by $1,500 and can no longer afford it, and she's asking everyone on Facebook to help her find an apartment. The saddest thing out of all of this is she's a single mom. Her 2 sons don't deserve a mom like her, but that's not my problem, I guess. I suppose it's karma. I do feel bad that she can't work in both schools anymore, but I needed to protect myself and my own job. I couldn't let her threats and intimidation go on any longer and have her think she can always get away with stuff like this. I do feel guilty, but at the same time, you don't threaten someone over your own paranoia, you talk it out. Oh God, I feel like I need more details on that. What were the threats though? What was she threatening you to do? Like what? I don't get it. What was she saying? Like, ooh, I'm gonna hurt you if you... Could this not have been talked out? Maybe there's more. Maybe he tried to talk to her a bunch of times, warned her, told her to stop messaging, told her to stop threatening, and it led to this point. But I'm not getting enough of those details where it just seems like, could this not have been talked out? I don't know. What do you guys think? I need more details. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy.